You're listening to the RMPodcast, the official podcast of Red Moon Productions. Here are your hosts, Brandon Davidson, Keith Cheatham, and Sean Sebastian. Enjoy.
Welcome to another episode of the Red Moon Podcast. Live every single Tuesday night right here on all your favorite social media networks. And don't forget to catch the downloadable audio version on Thursdays at midnight. I'm one of your hosts, Brandon Davidson, alongside our normal new host, Sean Sebastian. And Keith Cheatham. He said it again. We're on a streak. That's going to be week number 72. Oh wow, that he said it.
I don't think that's true.
Am I lying? Am I lying to our viewers? You can't do it yet. Don't do it yet because it's not going to play.
It's still going.
I've got to fade out the music first.
You fade out. Well, it's too late now.
What if I don't bring it back up?
The moment has
Don't
passed.
bring what back up?
If I don't bring the audio back up, they're never going to hear it.
Well, that's fine.
They're not going to hear our
saying
review.
that
would be.
They're not going to hear.
That's restriction of people's free speech.
Oh, I'm censoring.
Well, I hit it.
You are.
I hit it.
am.
I didn't hear nothing.
That's right. I didn't turn
bring
it back
it
up. Nope.
That's why.
I'm not going to.
I thought
I
he
don't know if
wanted.
we can-
I thought he
should
wanted
we-
to hear it.
Should we leave? I don't know if we should be on the show if we're going to be censored.
No.
I'm just gonna stay quiet the whole time.
Okay.
Yeah, you're going to stay quiet.
Boycott.
I turned you both off. Now nobody can hear either one of you. Try to talk. See if they can talk. They can't talk. Yeah, you can't hear them. Can't hear them. I control the power. Don't you all
brother.
dare.
Big brother over here.
Censorship City. That's what we got. Red Moon Censorship. Keith still ain't talking. Oh, I do actually. Oh my God.
That was a great little.
Now he's just gonna
Yeah,
go
that
through
was
all
great.
of
I
them.
was while I was silent. I was just hitting a bunch of them, but then he put
share the load.
It was great though, because
Show me the
I was
money.
just hitting a bunch, and then when he put it back up, they all just
Well,
just go.
I needed to be reminded because I was probably going to forget, and then our review would have.
That would have made a
this
good
was
movie.
this was originally what I played, but now I don't remember what it was in response to.
You serious, Clark?
Yeah, but that was the first one I hit.
72
Yeah.
episodes with you giving
That's
your
what
name.
it was. Thank you.
Yeah. I thought it was going to be like, oh,
No.
I muted you all, and you were just like,
no,
you serious, Clark?
The 72 episodes was what I was saying.
Yeah.
You serious, Clark?
Yeah, you've
yeah.
been keeping it up throughout the summer.
Yeah.
But it's fall
Wow.
now. So now we've changed
technically
seasons.
fall?
Yeah. It was as of Monday.
Yep.
Was it
Monday
the
was the-
22nd or the 21st?
Really? I don't
Which
know why.
which
I
is
thought
the
fall started in
I
October.
thought 21st, but I could
think
be
it's
wrong.
the 21st because I'm almost certain
Oh, the 22nd.
it is the 22nd.
I don't think there's an actual set day. It's,
And I forget
It's
this.
a specific Sunday in Sept. Like it's the last or the.
I forget this because there's a solstice and an equinox. And there's always a summer solstice, that's what it is, and a fall equinox. Then you have the winter solstice, and then you have the spring equinox.
The autumn equinox was
Wait,
September 22nd.
okay, then I got it backwards.
Okay.
No, I got it right. I said autumn equinox,
Yeah,
right?
September,
I got it right.
September 22nd.
Yep.
So now it is fall.
It's always the 21st. That's why June
Yeah.
21st technically is the start of summer. And then autumn starts on, September 21st. Yeah. And then December 21st is the start of winter, which you think is pretty late.
Yeah.
Well, September 22nd was the first day of fall.
Well, yeah. I don't know why. So technically, we are now in the darkest. The darkest part of the day will always be longer than the brightest part of the day.
Mm-hmm. That's how it works.
That's
yeah.
what the equinox.
That's because we don't live
I'm
on
giving-
a flat Earth.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And then the solstice.
You serious, Clark?
I watched a YouTube video about it.
What's the
I know everything.
What's the solstice again?
Summer solstice.
Yeah, and the winter solstice. Is that the equal parts? No, that's the equinox.
That's when you
I don't
sacrifice
know.
to the pagan
That's what I was
gods.
gonna say. Solstice reminds me of a cult. That's just what it.
Makes
I
me
go.
think of
I
midsummer.
immediately go. To
Yeah, I mean, I know
midsummer,
that's
yeah.
not, but that's
Yeah.
not. But I mean, yeah, a lot of like.
I'm gonna look it up
Yeah.
during the review and figure
Just
this
the
out.
cornucopia made out of human body.
It makes me
parts.
think of
That's what I
Midsummer.
think of.
Yeah, that's what I think of
Yeah.
Midsummer and stuff. Yeah,
Yeah.
me too.
Are you serious?
Yeah, because that's when like pagan religions did all their
Solstice.
like
Yeah.
sacrifices and stuff were during
Oh, wow.
those. So I just,
Yeah.
I know
the
that's
only
not like
pagan
yeah.
religion that I ever think of is around Halloween because it's mentioned in the
No,
movie
yeah.
Halloween, and
Sam
Sam
Hain,
Hain.
yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Mm.
He's like in the festival of the. Well, crap, I don't know what it's called now. He mentions the festival,
Yeah.
but I mean, I really associate Halloween with like All Hallows Eve.
Yeah, yeah.
All before All Saints Day, which
Me
is
too.
November 1st.
Exactly.
And then you have Dia de los Muertos.
Well, that's something different. though.
Butchered that.
He did. He did.
Day of the Dead. That's right, November 2nd.
He did. He butchered
That
the
was
crap
great.
out
I think
of
there was
that.
a couple extra words
We're
in
just
there.
going through all the holidays on, well, I wouldn't even say it's the American calendar, the world calendar. Although, do y'all ever scroll through your calendar on your phone and you see
Yeah.
certain ones that are marked and you're like, I don't celebrate that.
Yeah, oh,
Why
yeah.
are they putting that on
Apple
there?
puts that crap on
Yeah.
my Apple calendar. But I go by the Mayan calendar. Apple
Oh.
has a Mayan calendar that
Oh,
you
you
can
put
use.
that on there?
Yeah, I use that.
You
Nice.
stopped using the Gregorian calendar.
Yeah, but there's been no calendar since 2012. So I
Oh.
don't have to really check anything because
Yeah. So you're
2012 was the end of the world
Flying by the seat of your pants
according
every
to
day.
the Mayan. Oh yeah, every day is literally a miracle.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
Wouldn't it be crazy if we just all lived that way?
it would be.
If we all just lived like every day was a miracle,
Mm.
like the Mayans.
Yeah.
Alrighty, well, we're going to move into our show. Talk about our movie this week. The one we went and saw was the one we skipped last week because we reviewed Am I Racist, which undoubtedly was, I think, the better pick for us to choose.
Yeah, actually. So
Funny enough, so we chose what was it didn't even crack number 1 last week.
that came in second last week.
So Deadpool
Yeah.
Wolverine was still number 1 last week, and then Speak No Evil fell to number 2.
And then I
it
think-
opened at number 2.
Was it third this week? I have to double check that. It dropped a little, but I think it was still in the
Yeah,
top 5.
and I know Am I Racist obviously fell out of the top 5, which is to
but
be
it's-
expected.
I think it's still in the top 10, isn't it?
It's
Which
still
is
top 10.
Yeah, that's impressive still.
has garnered $9 million. That's pretty good for an indie flick, especially for
a
one that
documentary,
costs
yeah.
yeah. For a documentary, one that cost only I think $6 million to make. Daily Wire's did good with their first theatrical release, so bravo to them. But yeah, we went and ended up seeing.
Yeah, it came in third.
It
Speak
did.
No Evil did.
What
Yeah.
were the other? What were the top 2?
Beetlejuice did take number 1. It was a back and forth between that and Transformers 1.
Oh, and I take that back. Was Beetlejuice last week number 1, and
Yes.
then Deadpool Wolverine?
Yeah.
Or no, Speak No Evil, then Deadpool Wolverine, or was it? I can't remember.
It was Beetlejuice, Speak No Evil, Deadpool, Wolverine, I believe.
and then
Yeah.
and then Am I Racist?
And then
came
Am I
before.
Racist?
Yeah.
This week it was Beetlejuice, Transformers 1, and then Speak No Evil. And
Which makes sense.
yeah, and Transformers 1 and Beetlejuice went neck and neck all weekend. They weren't sure which would come out on top until pretty much
I really
final
am
day.
glad. I mean, you can go and check out our review of Beetlejuice on our website.
Yeah,
but
it's
I'm
doing
really
well.
glad that it's actually gotten enough word of mouth, and it was a good pick for them to put in theaters because I think they've made their money back, no doubt.
Tripled it. I think
Wow.
last I looked,
Yep,
it was at
it was
300 million, and their budget was 100 million.
That's
so,
fantastic.
Yeah.
You know they're definitely happy with those returns. But so what? How did Speak No Evil fare? We were kind of looking forward to this. Keith actually did watch the original Danish or Swedish.
I did. It's on AMC Plus.
What
anybody's
country?
subscribed or Danish. It's
Danish.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Anybody interested? It's on AMC Plus if you have a membership or want to do a free trial for 7 days.
So what did we
Is that what you did?
No, my parents actually
They have AMC Plus?
Yeah, my mom
Okay.
got it because she loves The Walking Dead, and all of the Walking Dead
Yeah.
series are on there. So
Gotta do it. Yep.
yeah.
I do like Mad Men. I don't know why.
Yeah.
But it was on Netflix for
I
the longest
just-
time.
I'm not into the overtly specific. Like AMC Plus is like literally it's only like what you can get on
Agreed.
AMC. It's like I
You
like
have to
having
really love their stuff.
Yes, it's like I like having broader like Netflix that has a bunch, or even Disney. Even though it's only Disney, Disney owns a lot of crap. So it's
Yeah.
like I can understand if you want Disney Plus because you still have access to Fox and all of Disney's back catalog. I'm like AMC just doesn't have a back catalog of stuff other than Walking Dead, Mad Men. Was Breaking Bad AMC or was that FX?
It was, but Breaking Bad is still on Netflix. Netflix is probably shelling out money to keep that on.
I'm sure
because
I'm
it's just
sure.
a great
Well,
series.
Walking Dead's on. It's on both. Like there's
Is Walking Dead on Netflix?
Yeah.
Not the most recent stuff.
no the
Yeah,
new seasons.
Fear
are.
the Walking
Yeah.
Dead and even Daryl's
The
season
spin-offs are not
series.
on Netflix,
Yeah.
so that's why Mom did the AMC Plus.
So she
because-
watches all of those.
Oh, she's seen. Yeah, I think she's seen all of the.
She's a big fan.
She likes the zombies.
Yeah. Yeah.
She likes the gore.
She likes the character. I mean, I like the characters too. That was its draw.
I
It's
just felt
was
like
way
it got drawn out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like this intro. Alrighty, let's go into our review. What did we think of Speak No Evil? Well, let's just roll into it. Here is our movie review.
As October draws nearer, the usual influx of thrillers, horror, and macabre films has begun.
Beetlejuice continues to dominate the box office, Halle Berry's horror Never Let Go flops, and Speak No Evil maintains modest numbers after debuting in second place last weekend. The film is a remake of the Danish psychological horror/thriller of the same name released 2 years ago, and has gotten positive word of mouth amongst critics and audiences. The original Danish film, too, was critically lauded at the time and loved amongst horror aficionados. How then does the Hollywood version of Speak No Evil compare? Directed by James Watkins, who also adapted the screenplay, the movie follows Ben and Louise Dalton, played by Scoot McNairy and Mackenzie Davis, and their daughter Agnes, played by Alex West, an American family living in London who at the start of the film are vacationing in Italy. While on vacation, the Daltons meet Patty and Sierra, played by James McAvoy and Aileen Francois, and their son Ant, played by Dan Huff. An awkward friendship is formed, and Patty and Sierra invite the Daltons to come stay a week at their farm in the English countryside. Initially uncomfortable staying with people they just met, Ben and Louise ultimately relent, hoping a trip to the countryside will help their rocky marriage. Patty and Sierra, though, are not who they seem, as the Daltons learn the horrific truth behind their host's intentions. Speak No Evil is a gripping, suspenseful thriller with well-built character motivations and a plot that will keep you on the edge of your seat for the first 2/3 of the film. Once the movie begins its final act, however, the movie falls apart. Character development, such as Ben, a spineless patriarch trying to hold his marriage together, learning to stand up for and defend his family, are thrown out. And so are any form of logic and reasoning, with Ben specifically becoming the most unlikable and useless character in the movie. The film is sprinkled throughout with modern political talking points and terminology that at first feel harmless and seem to be geared towards adding layers to the characters, with McAvoy's Patty representing an aggressive right-leaning male and Louise a much more progressive, nurturing female. Louise is depicted with faults in the film, which include infidelity, but ultimately never has to overcome these faults or become better due to them. Both the original and the remake's main theme centers around a specific line of dialogue regarding the passive nature of the main characters. As the remake ends, though, it's clear that the cautionary themes of the original have been twisted to become a weird, unfocused commentary on marriage and toxic masculinity. But these themes clash with the core of what the main plot and themes were originally set up to be. Much of the film's problems stem from Watkins completely changing the end of the movie from the original Danish version, which is a much more dark, cautionary tale that actually instills horror in its viewers. Watkins' remake aims to alter the movie for American audiences, which is to a degree understandable, as why else would you remake a 2-year-old film that was already well made and well received? That said, coddling American audiences against the true themes and message of the original, while making the characters weaker and more unlikable, turns a thriller with horror elements into a lame duck. Speak No Evil ultimately fails to be as shocking or horrific as its namesake, and while it did build solid suspense and would have been an effective thriller, the final third kills all the suspense and forward momentum. I give Speak No Evil 2 out of 4 stars.
2 out of 4 stars for Speak No Evil.
Well, there it is. That's right. There it is.
So, not very good, in our opinion.
Yeah, is that because we've all said 2 can go either way.
It could go either
which way are you
It's right
falling
on the
that?
cusp.
Oh, I think by listening to the review, it's definitely a downward 2.
Downward 2.
Well, here's the thing.
I like
It's like
that.
a yoga
Downward.
move.
I would give it
downward 2.
I gave it 2 specifically because for most of the movie, it is actually a pretty good movie. It's really like the last third, its climax,
Yeah.
that it completely falls apart.
Don't you hate that?
Yeah, yeah.
I was trying to, when we left the theater, or on my way home, I was trying to think of another movie that we've seen where it was just like a great film up until the end, and then it just went sideways. And I cannot. There was one that we all went to see together, and it was just like that's how you're gonna end this. Like,
Yeah.
that was. And
I mean, well, one off the top of my head, and it's not really a singular movie; it's a trilogy, and that was Halloween, the most recent ones: Halloween, Halloween Kills, and Halloween Ends.
Yeah, well, that was the first movie started good, and then they just kept getting worse.
Halloween Ends definitely fits that mold because I thought the first hour of that movie is solid. He's shaking his head.
I didn't like Halloween. I know you liked it more than we did.
Oh, I
but
did,
didn't like
and
it.
that's why I'm going to defend my position.
Yeah, you're fine. Yeah,
because to me, the first hour of that movie, I was bought in.
yeah.
I thought they had a good thing going, and then all of a sudden, you see this kid go into a cave, and then
I would agree with that.
He
Until he wrestles Michael Myers.
yes, all the way up until that point. That was
In
when I
the
was like, nah,
drainage,
this
the
Yes.
sewer thing. Yeah, that was stupid.
I was
then
like,
he-
this is fun until he's in the sewers wrestling with Michael Myers over a mask, and I'm like,
Yeah.
nah, we're good.
and that was about an hour in.
Yeah, I guess
So
that was an hour. Yeah.
So that one was more so only a third of the film was good.
yeah,
But this one, what really was going for it the whole time was the intrigue, because it has 2 strikes against it, and why I settled on 2 out of 4 as well, and 2 in the negative sense. One strike is it definitely falls prey to, if you've seen the trailer, too much is given away. Now, granted, some people may say, well, it's a remake, and so if you've seen the original, they're just there to kind of springboard you into getting prepared for this one, and you already know what to expect anyway. That's fine. But to me, the jig is up in terms of you already there is no intrigue as to whether or not these are bad people.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
You know they are right out of the gate pretty much. It's just the devolving into that. And that's where I was mostly intrigued, was once I'm watching the movie, I was thoroughly entertained and thoroughly enjoyed seeing kind of the slow breadcrumb trail the director was leaving for me to go down that rabbit hole of how these people could fall in line and get to this point. And then there is a pivotal line. I'm not going to spoil it. You mention it in the review.
Yeah, I didn't say the line.
You didn't say the line, but
I
you
do
mention it as a crutch of the main film,
it's
or
kind
main
of
theme.
the crux of what the themes are for both the original and this one,
And they get to that point in this film, but it completely falls flat.
because they changed the ending. Yeah,
They change the ending,
Yeah.
and also the characters' motivations also change because they continue. They don't evolve. The characters themselves don't evolve. They continue down the same stupid path that they were on from the beginning of the film, which is not what you want to see when you see them go through the things they do. And ultimately, so it suffered from the trailer syndrome of showing you too much before you actually watch the movie, and then it suffered from the fact that you mentioned it and hit the nail on the head in the trailer. These characters, I have not seen. It's been a long time since I've seen a movie, and I'm kind of in the same boat as you, Sean. I'm struggling to picture or to name a movie where this is the case right off the top of my head. But I have never. It's been a long time since I've seen a movie where I wanted to root against the
that's
so-called
completely useless.
protagonists
Yeah.
because of how useless they are, how they don't grow.
it's like you deserve to die.
Right. Like, I'm not
You
cheering
deserve
for you to live. I
to
don't
become
want you
prey.
to live.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I don't think that was necessarily the point of the
No.
movie. I think you're supposed to somehow feel grateful that they, spoiler alert, survive in the end.
Yeah.
And I just did not. Because, again, I don't think there was anything major in this film that did anything differently other than the theme, which it missed the mark completely. Especially because I think you'll get into this a little bit, Keith, when you talk about the original.
I'm not going to do any spoilers. I was just going to say that, like, almost beat for beat, they're very much the same film until the end, like literally. And the original is only about 90 minutes, so they add a good 20 minutes onto this film, and everything like in that final 20 minutes is all just extra crap.
Is the husband a complete cuck in the original movie?
I don't want to.
a good question.
I don't want to just like to. The endings are very different. Like,
Okay.
I was actually horrified by the original, and I was not horrified by this movie whatsoever.
No.
The theme of like that line that James McAvoy mentions, basically when the dad asks, "Why are you doing this?"
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
James McAvoy delivers that line.
Yeah.
That makes way more sense than the original. Like, it's the same. It's
okay.
the same line.
Yeah.
But it's actually it carries through with that theme of, well, this is happening because of that. Like,
Okay.
Whereas
And I want to
yeah,
say
yeah.
the way James McAvoy delivers the line in this
no,
movie
it's-
wasn't bad.
Yeah,
No,
it's good.
it's
It
not
was
his
good.
fault.
Yeah.
James McAvoy did a great job.
It's actually one of my favorite parts
Right.
of the film.
Yeah.
Was
Yes.
when he says that, because I'm like,
It's just that
exactly like
what-
And then imagine if they actually followed through with that. Where
Yeah.
you kind of,
yeah.
for lack of better terms, you get what you deserve, basically. And I feel like the original movie, that's the theme. And in this movie, they wanted to placate a softer audience, and I think that was a mistake.
Well, and I think I kind of talked to you a little bit about this before you recorded. It's interesting because the things that they shoehorned, I think, culturally into this movie that's more modern day, which
Yeah, there's definitely
hurt the
much
film.
less of what I would call like some of the more woke angles in this film. Like that, those aren't present.
But
in
it's funny that they decided to shoehorn those in, but then remove the parts that not only bolstered the theme the original was trying to tell, or a cautionary tale, but also the fact that it was like they thought somehow changing that aspect was more approachable and amenable for American audiences.
Yeah.
And I'm like, are you freaking serious? Like, it just seemed like the wrong thing to change.
I find it hard to give my opinion about the movie if we're not allowed to talk about what
we can.
transpires.
I think spoiler alert.
Because everything negative I have to say about the film is about what we're talking about, what we're
the director
dancing
didn't
around
like the new version either of the original.
I'm sure he wouldn't.
He said that he was not happy they changed the ending because it defeats kind of the purpose of the movie, really.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Sean. I mean, at this point, we're enough to where people want to go see this. They can turn off now and come back in a little bit, but I
mean, without spoiling too much, it's what I think one of the things that we're kind of dancing around is the fact that yes, the some people survive, and the only reason that they survive is because the wife becomes a girl boss and does the job of her husband.
And a lot of luck, really,
and a lot of that's very true. But it's just the husband in the movie of the protagonist family. They are under this guy's leadership, and he's a total. I mean, he's a piece of crap.
Yeah.
Like he's a waste of sperm.
No
He's
backbone.
There's nothing. He won't speak his mind. He won't stand up for his family. He won't stand up for his wife. He won't stand up for himself.
And part of
with
that,
what
I
his
thought
wife's
was,
done to him.
In part, that was the design of the character. I thought,
but you would expect him to
evolve,
grow. Yeah.
I thought throughout the movie that's what we were going to get.
Turning point.
I wanted to so many times shake him and say, just
wake up.
Oh, yes, like
become a man.
Yeah,
like,
and there are
up.
similar moments in the original. Except like that is kind of part of the point, and I would say in the original he is less like, as you worded, a cuck. Like it's more like a stubborn arrogance and like that pig-headed like, no, I know what I'm doing, than just being a complete like.
That's
useless
even better though, because men do that.
Yes, exactly.
At least men are stubborn, and we think we know everything. We can fix everything.
Yes,
I would like to see that from this guy. He has nothing to offer.
He was just complete.
He just completely stands aside and lets his family fall into turmoil.
Yeah.
And he has to be rescued by his wife and a little boy.
Yeah.
And it's literally just, it's disgusting to me the way that they paint this guy. And I get it if that's what you're going for, but like Brandon's trying to point out too, give the guy a turning point to where he finally embraces some form of not masculinity, but just manhood, and delivers his family.
But I think what's a greater sin in the movie, in that purpose, the greater sin that this movie makes is that because they survive in the end, it's like he didn't need that kind of revelation, or he didn't need that turning point.
He just needed a strong wife.
Exactly. He was going to be bailed out because no matter what their flaws were and their problems were, it was still going to all work out in the end, because at the end of the day, they had a better heart.
Yep.
He might have been misunderstood, but his better heart led him to the proper outcome. And that's where this is the era of filmmaking we're in now, where I just have to draw the line at complete detachment from reality, and it's why your movies suffer.
Yeah.
It is why Hollywood continues to make flop after flop, because they follow this line of reasoning that no matter what, your heart will overcome. Well, that's immediately where if you put me and my instincts in the position of watching this film and following it through, and again, this is the greater sin of the film, because 2/3 of the movie, you're hook, line, and sinker. You're bought in. You're on this journey. All of the decisions are a little bit quirky and odd, but you kind of see, okay, based on how these people are acting and how they are reacting as characters, I can follow this.
Eventually,
this is
he's
logical.
Going to come around.
Right.
Yeah.
At least he's going to face something so insurmountable that he has
He
to, like,
snaps
something
into it.
primal is going to kick in. Never happens.
Yeah.
And the primal behavior never happens. But then the outcome to follow when that primal behavior doesn't kick in isn't the result.
Yeah.
So it's completely a
There's no-
distortion of reality.
There's no character
from,
development
No.
for either of them. And as I said that in the review, like they both have character flaws that it feels like the movie's setting them up to learn from. Like him to stand up for his family and be a man and grow a backbone, and for her to learn, to be less abrasive and to trust, her husband. And it's funny because they set it up almost like they're going to overcome like their character flaws they have, and like you said, by the end of the film, their character flaws didn't even matter. It's like, why did we even need to learn?
Right.
Like
Yeah.
it's like, why do we need to learn about the infidelity and the trouble with their marriage? It never has any factor into
No.
Yeah.
It's
It
like
doesn't.
It's like none of like those were all set up as flaws that you thought they were going to overcome as a married couple and grow stronger and bond together and then win. But instead, it was just like no.
I thought the dude was acting odd, even in some of his mannerisms and the way he was acting, up until there's a scene in a bedroom when they are finally staying at James McAvoy
Yeah.
and his woman's place. And I'm sitting here, and when that scene takes place, I was like, "Oh, okay, this is why it's been so awkward and the tension between them."
Yeah.
Because again, the director made a smart choice in not just, in feeding it to you through action versus just telling you through exposition. That's great, but then the payoff is never there. We get the buildup and we have this, interaction between these characters, but there either is no consequence or there is no revelation of what this has led you to and snapping out of it and growing from it.
Yeah.
So it really was just a complete letdown, which is why, again, maybe since we've already spoiled this one, we won't spoil the Danish one. But I think that's why maybe the Danish movie holds up better and is worth a watch more so than this movie. Would you agree?
I would watch the original.
It's better than this one?
And I mean, it's not all because the English is a second language there too, so there is a lot of English as well. It's kind of what was the French movie you reviewed? Kind
Anatomy
like
of a Fall.
Yeah, where it went back and forth between English and French. It's kind of like there are some subtitles moments, but you don't have to watch the entire movie that way. So that's not.
I mean,
bad.
that's how it was with the Dragon Tattoo films.
Yeah.
Like those were, I think they were
Swedish, I
or
think,
Norwegian
yeah.
or whatever, but they were better than the American versions. But the reason they were better was because they didn't hold back.
Yeah.
Like I just a blood curdling scene from that movie is there's a rape scene where she in the first movie, and it is brutal in the Swedish version, and but it leads you to what she does later.
Yeah.
Because of that, makes so much more sense.
Right.
Than the American version is so toned down that you're like, well, what? I mean, to be honest with you, the revenge that she's trying to get is much greater than.
This is what I can't stand about, like, there's other things that American, audiences would come to expect, or let me put it this way, certain things that Hollywood won't put on the screen that I'm like, okay, well, now you're undercutting the story you're trying to tell versus other things they blatantly put out
Deadpool
there.
and Wolverine.
Right.
I mean, good Lord, the violence and the language in that movie are on another level, like beyond Kill Bill level. And it's like you would think American audience would take offense to just the bloodbath that's in that movie, but people love it. We ate it up, and they're still eating it up.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can't show, something that happens to real people, like in real life. Like, come on. I don't understand. It's like,
no, I agree. I mean,
even back in the 70s when the I'll Spit on Your Grave.
Oh, yeah,
when
yeah.
the original of
Yeah,
that
that
movie
was
made, that was freaking brutal. And they
Yeah.
made that back in the 70s
Yeah.
when
Well,
nudity in movies wasn't even like, that was frowned upon
well,
back then.
we reviewed it last year for our Halloween as
Yeah.
part of our torture porn series, and we even said that a little bit of it was very much over the top.
Yeah.
For the sake of, like, not even, it wasn't even just as how brutal they were showcasing it. It was also like it was more glorifying the nudity on screen in that vein.
Was, yeah.
What
of
annoys
what was going on.
Yeah, what annoys me is that this is a rated R thriller. You won't put in, with the original version that actually lands the themes and it makes the story have an impact. But then you'll put like things in children's films that are inappropriate for children.
100%.
And Hollywood, and that's what annoys me about Hollywood. It's like, oh, this
R-rated film for adults where the whole point of the movie is to drive home this cautionary tale. We got to be tame there because we don't want American audience to get upset. But we'll throw in all the terrible crap into a children's film that children don't need to see, and that's fine because that's just them learning the truth.
Yeah,
right.
I just recently went and saw Transformers 1.
Yeah.
They say ass about 9 or 10 times in the movie.
Yeah.
And it's completely unnecessary. It's used in a joke, but the joke is played out multiple times throughout the film where it's just ass over and over and over again. And I'm like, this is a PG movie. There's nothing else in the film that even fits the tone. Like, there's no curse words anywhere else in the movie. And it was just like, why did you have to put that in there?
Right.
You could have made the joke different. You could have changed words around or whatever to make this a kid's movie. But I have to sit there with my children in the movie theater, and every time it's brought up, they look at me because they're thinking they've heard something they're not supposed to hear. And I'm just like, it's fine. Let it go in one ear and out the other.
Yeah.
And we're not going to repeat what they
See,
said.
and that's what's crazy,
like,
too, because you're right. I mean, and no doubt, there were definitely films when I was younger that I watched that were, well, heck, and we've even brought them up now on the show. I mean, you talk about Gremlins, it was rated PG. One, it's a strong PG.
They're live-action movies, though.
But I was going to say, and that's the thing, is there are times where I'm like, you can say, even The Goonies has some questionable content
it does.
for a kid's film.
We just recently watched it, and
but
I was surprised.
I would also argue, I was like, that's not really a kid's movie, it's pre-teens.
Yeah.
And there are, I mean, because we've brought this up too before on the show, is that there's not really this in-between stage anymore in Hollywood. We just have kids films and adult films. There's no preteen coming of age films unless they're really overtly like sexualized, or they throw in this tongue-in-cheek humor that it's like, okay, that's a little too on the nose sexually. Like, we don't need to be overly sexualized as a young kid becoming a young adult. But there used to be movies I would watch that I know my parents were just like, okay, same exact thing. It was like in one ear, out the other.
Yeah.
Ignore that. Like, I remember there'd be times where if it was a movie we were watching and it was PG-13 and I was maybe 10 or 11, and they'd be like, all right, if there's one more of those words, we're turning it off.
Yep.
We're done with
I
this.
say the same thing.
And yet we'd always end up finishing the movie because my parents were probably
it's
more
like, all right, if there's one more after that.
Right.
All right, if there's one more after that.
Because my parents, I didn't realize at the time, my parents wanted to watch it. They wanted to see it. But it's insane to me because I think you're right, Keith. They're getting more lenient with what we allow in children's movies. But then when it comes to adult movies, they're like, well, this may be sensitive for American audiences. We may not want to put that in there. I'm like, what the hell is
This
this?
Might trigger somebody.
It's literally, I mean, what is up is down and down is up anymore. Like, it doesn't make any sense. So all in all, I just like, it's such a missed opportunity with this movie. Something that, again, because of the trailer, I thought was going to be one thing going into it. It actually ended up being something different. And for about the first 2/3 of the movie, I was hooked. I was paying attention. I was enjoying where they were headed. And then it just ended on such a bad note that I was like, all right, no, I just can't. I can't push it above 2 stars.
I was checking during the review. It's 83% critics, 85% audience.
Yeah, I was
Rotten
shocked.
Tomatoes.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't surprise me because I think there are casual audience goers who will see this. And again, if you don't review movies like we do week to week, or if you don't even pay attention to some of the cultural references, you can gloss over it. Or because honestly, and you'll be shocked by this, and this kind of ties in, I promise. For the first time in a long time, I watched Field of Dreams.
Oh yeah,
this past weekend. Just was on Netflix. I was like, I've got my Netflix subscription again. It popped up. I was like, I'm gonna watch it.
James Earl Jones.
Yeah. I did not remember that there's like a whole plot thread pretty much of them being basically a bunch of 70s hippies. Him going to Berkeley, her being like they're a bunch of like tree hugging, couple. And part of the whole reason he's even able to build this stupid, baseball field is because she's willing to go along with his dreams. But there's this whole PTA meeting.
Yeah,
and
they're trying books and all that stuff.
And they're trying to, ban the
books,
book of
Terrence Mann's book.
Terrence Mann, James Earl Jones, who he plays him in the movie.
Yeah.
And I'm just sitting here this whole time, and I'm like, I could easily see someone picking that scene from that movie, which is held as a classic. Great movie, nominated for Best Picture. So many people hold it up. I mean, again, the end of the movie where he's throwing pitch with his father, it got me.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
that was a moving scene. But even that one little scene, I'm like, I could easily see somebody pulling that out of context, placing it in today's frame of mind, with banning books in Florida.
Yep.
The news does it all the time. They completely distort what used to be an old battle and an old cultural fight.
Even they were classic liberals,
right?
You could say they were classic. They still had the same family values that most conservatives have.
Well, he was talking about
everything.
Literally
they're
having
farmers,
a
for
family
God's
and
sakes.
building a farm.
Yeah.
He was like, didn't
Yeah.
think I'd land here.
Yeah.
But that was what his dream was.
Yeah.
Until it became this building a baseball field.
Yeah.
And even then, I thought to it, I ain't gonna lie, like throughout the movie, I kept thinking like, no, dude's bat crazy.
Yeah.
Like this is nuts.
He's financially killing them.
Right.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
kept thinking like, no, this is pretty dumb. This is irresponsible.
Yeah.
This isn't right. And of course, not till you get to the end of the movie, and there's a little bit of it in there that you could say is a faith-based. I mean, look, we could go on a deep dive.
He's following a voice, like
Right.
and doing what a voice tells him to do. I'm like, how many? I mean, to me, just the idea of belief in something greater than yourself is beyond modern day liberalism, or like to me back then, the fact that he was hearing a voice and following what it was telling, because he thought it was for a greater purpose.
Agreed.
Yeah, that to me, that's admirable.
But I think anymore, the problem is when you take moments where you could depend on a certain cultural fabric to uphold the meaning of a film like that, when it's not directly portrayed or articulated well over the course of time, its message as a whole doesn't hold up. It doesn't actually hold up over time. And I hate to say it because it's like, I think it was one of those movies where maybe when I saw it younger, didn't really pay too much attention to it. Thought probably different about it. I know there's probably movies that I raved about when I was in middle or high school as huge pieces of art that I would look at now and be like, oh, that was just drivel. But my point in all of that is to say that when it comes to something where when you aren't very direct about the message that you want to transcend and, cross into a new generation, then it's going to get lost in the noise, or it's going to be easily appropriated to the time that we're living in. And unfortunately, I feel like, when you see a movie like even Speak No Evil, it gets caught up, it trips up over itself. Because it basically is in a situation much like Field of Dreams where, you remember it as this iconic classic, but when you watch it and you see what some of the values are, and then you realize what we're going through this day and age, you're kind of like, oh, well, if I watched this movie back then and kind of believed in everything it touts, and I followed it. I mean, if somebody comes up to you today and is like, this voice was telling me to build a baseball field and I did it. And like, it's something we celebrate culturally. I mean, they have a Field of Dreams baseball game every season. Yeah. And I'm not saying there isn't anything inherently wrong with that, but again, there is something to be said about it's a movie. Yeah. And there's certain principles in it that you could easily point to and say, that's a little bit misleading if we were to hear somebody, because we've seen examples of it. We've seen examples of where people have taken it too far. Yeah. And then they're off the reservation now. Yeah, yeah. And we as a culture didn't stop them early enough and say, okay, you're insane, and you need to be put into an insane asylum. You're not gonna go build a baseball field in in your crops. Yeah. And I'm just I'm extrapolating here, and I'm kind of going a little bit beyond the scope of even just Speak No Evil, but it continues to prove to me that if you're not wholeheartedly invested in your own beliefs and your own principles, I mean, again, if you stand for nothing, you'll fall for anything. Yeah. One of the words that's used too much in the church right now is intentional. Yeah. And I would say if you're not intentional with the message you're trying to deliver through a film, then yes, it's gonna get lost, and sometimes even, like you said, trampled on by itself. Yep. And I do think that's why when you do see movies that truly are considered classics and they transcend, like, I'm not saying Field of Dreams isn't something that is a not a feel-good movie, but a lot of people would hold it in high regard, but I don't think people would consider it a classic. They had warm, fuzzy feelings. Yeah, I still maybe.
It's a step out on faith, and I think, again, like, the things that happen throughout the film reassure the faith that he's put in this voice, because all of the stuff with Terrence Mann and it all lines up, and then the fact that it ends up being a profitable thing for his family at the end. It's kind of like, yeah, you put your livelihood on the line for this, and you went out on faith, and now here's the reward for being faithful. Now, faithful to what? The movie doesn't,
right?
You know what I'm saying?
It leaves it ambiguous.
It's a leap of faith in something, and it turns
but
out
that's why
okay.
I would argue something like Lord of the Rings,
yeah,
is held up in higher regard and is considered a classic. But again, when you have a deeper narrative, I think that is much more accurate in its portrayal of the values.
I don't disagree with that.
That are
yeah.
That Tolkien tried to tell within Lord of the Rings, and again, great job by Peter Jackson, Philip Boyens, and Fran Walsh for adapting them so well. But I think when you have something like that, that's like the gold standard.
Sure, yeah.
But there is no ambiguity there. There is literally a fight between good and evil.
Yes.
And the lines are so clearly cut and drawn that you don't have the ambiguity. And I think, like you said, when you aren't intentional and you purposefully leave things open to interpretation, too much interpretation, you get a muddying of the lines where a film is no longer translatable between generations, because now it's a blank canvas. And then I think that actually speaks more poorly to your work of art, because if it can truly be adapted to any generation, then is it really a work of art, or is it just so malleable that it's like, all right, this doesn't speak to anything but what I want to in the moment? And I think a lot of those pieces actually fade more often than not with their generation than transcend to the next generation. So this is all of that. I have no idea.
It was a deep dive into that movie.
I didn't think Speak No Evil required that much depth.
No. And to a degree, it still doesn't.
It left it open. So we took that.
I more or less used it as a jumping off point to go into a tangent.
That's great, yeah.
Speak No Evil brought up none of those conversational pieces.
No.
I think it was because I watched that movie.
You watched Field of Dreams.
Juxtaposed with
He was
Field of
like,
Dreams.
look, I'm tired of talking about the crap movie. Let's talk about something else.
Yeah, maybe it's time to move into headlines. Let's just get into it. Headlines. All right. So big news for the week. This is pretty
Big news.
And I think I put AMC Regal on because they're, I think, the largest movie theater chains in the U.S. I mean, Cinemark is on there too. But actually, it's 8 theater chains. It would have been way too much to put all the theater chains on.
Oh, you're talking about the ones that are
third.
Investing.
Yeah. Because I only put AMC Regal making big theatrical upgrades, but obviously there's 8 that are included.
Yeah, I think it's all of the largest chains. Yeah.
And I'm actually going to read off all 8 of those theater chains.
I got them right here. If
go
you're
ahead.
looking
Go
for
ahead.
It. Well, until the ad popped up. Get real news for life. Here we go. AMC, Regal Cinemas, Cinemark, Cineplex, Marcus Theater Core, B&B Theaters, Harkins Theaters, and Santikos Entertainment.
I have not heard of Santikos.
I know what...
I'm going to say that's out west somewhere.
I know what 4 of those are. 4 of the 8. I got half of them.
But what's crazy
Everything
is...
after Cinemaplex I've not heard of.
This was an announcement from the National Association of Theater Owners last Thursday that the
NATO?
organization... NATO. Yeah, the other NATO. The organization represents theater owners from around the world and said the 8 chains involved in this commitment represent over 21,000 screens across 1,600 locations in all 50 states. They will be investing in upwards of $2.2 billion in the next 3 years in an effort to upgrade these entertainment facilities.
We can only hope
All I can
we're
say,
one of those.
Yeah.
If we do end up being one of them, it'll be at the end of the 3 years.
maybe the gold mines paid off.
Maybe. Well,
Yeah.
AMC's not the only ones doing this, though. So.
I do think it exactly. And again, when you say $2.2 billion, look, that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
But spread across
1,600 theaters.
1,600 theaters,
Yeah.
8 companies. How much, how far are these investments really going?
Yeah.
Now, granted, look, some of the things they tout in there that they say they're investing in, I'm all for. I'm trying to get down to...
What will the money be used on?
Yeah.
It's like, according to
go ahead.
the Theater Owner Association, the funds will be used on an array of projects to modernize and improve theaters, including adding the latest laser projection technology and immersive sound systems. I'm for that. AMC needs better sound
Comfortable
systems.
seats.
Yeah, installing more comfortable seats and creating family entertainment options such as arcades and bowling. And that is cool.
I mean, it's interesting, too, because they're clearly going for more than just movie theater going experience. They want to create like an outing, almost like, I'm thinking of what we have here locally.
Well, that's what
Main
theaters
Event.
used to, Main Event, but
Yeah.
that doesn't have a theater.
It doesn't. Okay,
But
never mind. I was thinking it does.
think of a main event with a movie theater attached
Well,
to
that's
it.
what I'm saying. That's
that'd be
what
pretty
theaters
awesome.
kind of used to be. Dixie Dozen used to have a
Yeah.
massive arcade, and
Yep.
then
Yeah.
they downsized it, and then
Well,
they
we used to
completely went out of
go.
business.
We used to always go to River Falls Mall.
Yeah.
And the whole upstairs was just a movie theater and a huge food court and arcade.
Yep.
And mini golf.
Yep.
And so you had all of that, and then you could walk over and see your movie, and then come back out and play some more games.
It's where I saw Lord of the Rings: Return of the King for
Really?
the second time.
It's where I saw
Before
Finding
the-
Nemo for the first time.
And it was before they shut it down.
yeah.
And it was quickly after that.
But
it
I think
went away.
it's funny where they're trying to kind of go back to that, because I remember like used to like you'd have arcades and like or have it be like Gaddy's, or you had like arcades and bumper by the movie theater too. And it's funny that they kind of want to bring back that little bit of experience. But I think that's also kind of their way of trying to get more money, because obviously if they're spending money in an arcade, that money goes to the theater, not to whatever production company.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's also just it's money. People
Drawing
in
people
the
in.
building is going to deliver money.
Yeah.
But it's like, yeah, man, if you take your kids, I know for a fact if I take my kids to see a movie and on the way out there's an arcade,
Yeah.
or I mean, if it's over in a side room where I can shuffle my kids out the door before they see it, I'm doing that.
That's
but
smart.
when it's like Dixie Dozen used to be, where you had to walk through the arcade like a casino to get to the theater, you can't avoid that. I mean,
Yeah.
you just can't. As a parent, you're gonna be like, yes, here's $5, go get some
Oh,
tokens.
yeah. I did it to my dad.
Yeah, and that's, they know that.
I think
gonna
they're
make money.
also wanting to expand. Again, they're focused on this word entertainment.
Yeah.
And they're seeing it as, look, we know movie ticket prices have increased. There's no secret about that. What is an outing that we can provide that will bring? I mean, heck, we've kind of seen this in terms of the more comfortable seating. I mean, I was going to say, if anything, the money's going to go further at some place like Cinemark, especially here in town, because our Cinemark theater upgraded their seats about 3 or 4 years ago, and now they have the reclining and heated seats, so that it is much more like sitting at home on your couch or in your sofa. And or in your recliner, and so you're actually able to enjoy the movie-going experience in a much more comfortable setting. So it kind of justifies that larger ticket price. Whereas AMC, not so much the case.
Yeah, most of the chairs are broken.
And
sound's broken.
Yeah, sound sucks.
Oh,
Screens are
and
bad.
I was gonna say, so you think, okay, well, but that money's gonna have to go even further, or they're gonna have to invest a lot more to bring even up to par to compete with somebody like Cinemark at least in our city.
Yeah.
Because AMC is so far behind. But again, it would be fantastic for them to do so. But also, if they know that they can justify the cost for you going out and seeing a movie, but if you have a place to go, kind of like, a mini mall, where it's like, you don't just have to come here to see a movie, or maybe you show up and you're able to see or go play a round of, 10 frames of bowling or mini golf or something, and then catch the next showing.
Make a whole night of it. Yeah,
exactly. Make it a full entire outing, or even throw in packages where it includes a game of mini golf or bowling, along with
if
two
you buy a movie
tickets.
ticket, you get 20 free tokens or
Right.
something like that. It's like, they're going to blow through 20 tokens quick, and they're going to want more.
Exactly.
So you just give 20 free tokens.
And we, along with the comfortable seating, we've also been seeing how, I know with Cinemark and AMC, I think does this as well, but they've offered ordering on the app so that they'll bring the food to your table. I mean, at least Cinemark with their seating, they have the trays where you can swivel in front of you and you have like a whole meal. Now, granted, I would say it's exorbitant in terms of what you pay them for what you get. I mean, you're talking
It's
like
ridiculous.
Slightly above fast food quality, but for a ridiculous, which granted, fast food's catching up to that in terms of their prices. But yeah, I don't think it's a bad idea. I just don't. I mean, at the end of the day, you got to have. It's like what we've said: content is king when it comes to streaming services, and also when it comes to theaters. I mean, you really have to just have a good movie in the theater for people to go out and spend their money. And that's the long and short of it.
I wonder if that's why they're kind of hinting at the family entertainment aspect, is because they're not getting a whole lot of great movies in the theater. So it's like, well, to justify staying open, we're going to have to offer something other than a movie.
True.
Yeah.
And because there's just maybe some people might not go there to see the movie. They may just go to have the main event experience or the Dave & Buster's experience.
Right.
If AMC can pull that off, then maybe somebody, like you said, we'll make a night of it. We'll go see a movie after we play a couple rounds of golf
Right.
and bowl.
Or even if you're just willing to drop the kids off, let them play, and you're willing, you want to go see a movie. You and
Yeah.
your spouse want to go in. It's like, hey, we're gonna go catch the Showtime. You stay down here and play bowling with your friends, and we'll meet up after the movie's over. And we'll head home.
And even if they're not just dropping off specifically for that, you could hope that also it bolsters, like say you get a movie like Kung Fu Panda 4 that isn't a huge hit even with kids, but if you have bowling and arcade and all that, maybe more people will come to see that because like, oh, well, that's a kids movie they can watch, and even like they can just go bowl and do all this and then go see that movie, and then
all of a sudden, Kung Fu Panda is kind of risen up the chart.
It's like maybe the movie on its own wasn't enough to bring them in, but if they can also bowl and eat and do whatever, it's like, we'll
give the movie 2 out of 4 stars, but the bowling was 4 out of 4.
Right. It's like we'll go watch that. Why not?
I think of when you go to the drive-in for a double feature. It's like when you pair 2 movies together sometimes, and it's been kind of odd, but you'll pick like, the kid movie is first, and then you have a slightly adult. I mean, I think I remember going to see, what was it? It was, I forget. It wasn't too bad, I guess, in terms of content, but it was Attack of the Clones and Big Mama's House.
Oh, wow.
Were paired together.
Nice.
And it's
That
funny
is an
because
odd pairing.
the funny thing is though is Big Mama's House was not a movie that my parents would ever go to see.
No, yeah.
But it was one that, Martin Lawrence, it was pretty hilarious.
Yeah.
And I remember going to see it or staying after Attack of the Clones because it was a Saturday night, and they were like, yeah, we're here. Why not? We'll stay longer. And we ended up staying and watching the whole movie. And so sometimes, like, even just having that double feature, it was like it played better because we actually saw a movie we would have never went to go see on its own. Where I think this is a little bit, I don't want to, there's not too many downsides to it. I do think it's interesting because they mentioned the COVID hit with the pandemic and how theaters, really suffered. And we've talked about the streaming wars, which also kind of have been a stalemate in terms of their profitability. But it is interesting that I'm like, you can see that the theater owners are trying to come up with a way in which they can make the business plan they have sustainable for the future. How can they continue to keep people going to the theaters even when there is a lull, like a once in a once in 100-year pandemic? And I don't know that if it's I don't know if it's a little too late in that their bottom lines have been so affected, or is it because ultimately they realize too that the industry that they're in is suffering a lot of external ways that they can't control, whether it is a pandemic or, again, whether it is that they can't control the movies that are on screen because the movies that they put in their theaters don't do well.
Yeah.
Because you do have movies like Am I Racist that people actually do want to go and support and see, but you also have people who don't want to support those kind of movies because they're like, we don't agree with the politics, or we don't want to put that in our theater. But yet you'll put a huge Hollywood flop in there, and then you're wasting a whole theater screen for it, and it doesn't turn up any kind of money. And who's the real loser here? Well, both your patrons because they don't want to go see it, and you because you're out all that money that nobody's buying tickets for. So I don't know. I think it's a good thing that they're looking for these. I think it's positive news that, like you said, Keith, we're kind of hoping that we're going to
we're the only
feel the benefits
our
of.
subscription for AMC. We only have one. There's only one AMC theater in Louisville.
Yeah.
True.
The next closest one, I think
is
is
like Cincinnati.
is up in Newport. Yeah, by
Okay.
Cincinnati. So, and then of course, don't they have one in Bowling Green? I think there might be an AMC. South.
No, because we ended up we would have went and seen.
If there was
That's right.
there. If there was one in Bowling Green, we would have went
No,
there.
I thought there was one other
might be
one,
one in Lexington.
besides the one up north. But Louisville's the biggest city in Kentucky. There's no doubt in my mind that our theater will get some of those upgrades.
I hope.
We're the only
I do
only
hope,
theater
yeah.
around, so I think that if AMC's pushing to 21,000 screens nationwide, then surely to God, the only one in the biggest city in Kentucky will get it.
Oh yeah, and
Something.
That's all. Yeah, because they did say in all 50 states. So I'm
And
like,
Canada. Yeah.
So I'm really hopeful that that is.
Yeah,
We're up in
need
there.
something.
We got to have something for our AMC. It's struggling because that is one thing I am hopeful for too. Is, and we've talked about this countless times on the show, when it really does come down to the technology. I mean, let's face it. It's like home technology has gotten so good that you can mimic something as close to the theatrical experience. Now, granted, you don't get the same kind of feeling as being there with other people in the theater. Especially when it's a cultural event, something like a Deadpool Wolverine. But if it's a movie that I'm just looking forward to seeing and I can see it in a high fidelity, version of it, well, I can get that at home now.
Yeah.
4K HDR with Dolby Atmos, it's like all of those. I mean, if you really are
Not
a cinephile,
everybody can, but some people can. Yeah.
But if you're really a cinephile, you've already got that
Yes.
experience.
Yeah.
That you're not rushing to the theater to see
Yeah,
it because
yeah.
you know that when it's ready for it to be released on home video, you're going to get it and you're going to see it in a pristine way. And so I think it is smart for them to upgrade the screen.
Well, they mentioned
the projections,
the sound, the projection. They talked about using funds to like for things such as signs and carpet. It's like hell, our AMC needs.
Oh,
We
yes.
got 80s bowling alley carpet
Yeah,
in
they
our
need-
AMC.
They need carpeting. They need wallpaper. They got mold growing on the side of the building outside. they need bathroom stalls and
man.
counters. So I mean, and I was looking. The only two, like I went on AMC's actual on the app. The only two in Kentucky are Newport and Louisville.
Okay, so there's nothing to the south.
I really do think
that's
we'll
the only
definitely
AMCs
get.
or
Yeah,
those-
surely.
Those are the only two in
And
Kentucky.
the one in Newport, because I've been to it, and that was years ago that I went to it, but it was leaps and bounds nicer than what we have.
Yeah.
And that was back when Avatar came out, because that was the last time I was in Newport to see a movie.
And correct me if I'm wrong. Does it have like the 70 millimeter or the
They have a full IMAX.
Okay, so
Yeah.
same thing
Yeah.
technically that we have here, but
Yeah.
I'm sure it's in more pristine.
I could say the one in
conditions.
Boston was great too, but I mean,
Yeah.
that's a
I want
major city.
the one
Yeah.
Nicole Kidman's in her
Yes.
commercial.
Yeah, I've never
I
seen
want
an
a theater
AMC
like that.
Even the
Well,
one in
hell.
Boston didn't look like that.
When we went to, I mean, again, like I said, this money's going to go further at some, like at least our Cinemark here. I mean, we went and saw Mad Max Furiosa
Oh, the
in
XD.
XD
Yeah.
at Cinemark, and it was
Well,
fantastic.
even their non-XD screens
Yeah.
go wall to wall. They're not as big as the XD screens, but they still
Yeah,
take
that
up
was
the
one
whole
of the
wall.
funny things about seeing Am I Racist at Cinemark.
Yeah, it was the massive.
It was not only more comfortable, better sound. It was a documentary.
Yeah.
It had better sound, and it was on a bigger screen than what we saw Speak No Evil on.
Yep.
In AMC.
Oh, yeah.
And that was in the deepest, darkest corner of the building.
Yep.
We've
I would
gotten
say-
to know Theater 15 pretty well at AMC because
And
that's where they
that's the
shove.
thing. I mean, you sit here and think,
corner.
oh, well, it's got 20 theaters, AMC 20, and I'm like, but they don't use them to their effect.
No.
And I'd say about at least a dozen of those theaters are piss poor
Oh,
condition.
they're run down, terrible sound, tiny screen.
Well, you even
Cramped
pointed this out,
seats.
Sean, with Speak No Evil, and 100%, I think you were right on that there were the side speakers.
They weren't on.
They were not
No.
on, or they were not in use.
yeah, there was
No.
no surround sound.
It was
stereo.
all front coming out. Yeah, it really was.
Yeah.
And I truthfully, I don't know. Again, I'm not gonna get. Well, we've name dropped them on here all the time, so they could get in trouble if somebody was really paying attention. But there's got to be like some kind of like standards that I would think if you're a production house, like a Paramount or a Universal,
Oh, yeah.
or if you found out that your film was not being shown in a certain way to up to a certain standard, quality standard, that you could pull like a theater license. And
Oh,
that
yeah.
you could almost say, well, we're not sending you any of our films, and I guarantee you AMC would jump on it in a
We
heartbeat.
talked about that when they've skipped trailers and things like
Yeah.
that. It's like I know they have
And then
contracts.
Captain America, they started the movie
Like
20 minutes into the movie.
Yeah, and they started rewinding it like
Yeah.
they were skimming through
Yeah.
it backwards.
Yeah, you could tell it was a digital.
Yeah.
They probably had a flash
They were
drive
just dragging
because they
the,
just
dra- dragging the
It
slider
was
back.
terrible, and yeah, it's like I know they have contracts with the production houses for
specific trailers to be attached to specific movies.
Yeah.
So I feel like, if they found out that those trailers weren't being shown, they would be in a lot of trouble too.
But all in all, great news. I'm really looking forward to it. Absolutely hope our AMC is on the list of getting upgrades. They just need to pave their parking lot too.
They need better management there,
they do.
for sure.
Oh, 100%. No doubt. They're getting away with a lot of stuff there that I don't think AMC corporate knows.
Yeah, but no matter how
regardless
many
of how
times
many
we send pictures to them, they don't really give a crap.
pictures,
I don't get
surveys.
I don't get surveys anymore.
Oh, they
I don't know
quit.
if they don't
just stop. They stopped sending them to you.
I don't know, but I was saying, like, they used to come in. Like, I don't know if AMC stopped doing the surveys or if the employees now just throw them in the trash, because they used to come on the receipt, and I don't ever go to the kiosk anymore because I tend to usually get at least a drink. And when I go up there, like, I've never paid attention. I need to watch and see if I get all those pieces of paper back, because I haven't gotten a survey in a while.
I would
Are you all
think
just
that they have to have something in the theater, in the lobby, like that you can take a form and fill it out, or a QR code or something you can scan
I'm sure I could get on the
to
app,
leave a review.
Yeah.
I would think they would have to have something on site.
I want
to
to say
do
that there is, because I know that even when I did the Speak No Evil tickets, there was something at the end of getting the setting the time, or
it gives you they give you little promotional things on it. You could save money all the time.
But not just that. I think it was like because they'll do the advertisements. But
after
I've
you see the movie, they do send me a thing saying wanting to know
how was your experience.
And I haven't done that. But
and I haven't either. And I think you can go a little bit deeper and do a full blown survey.
I mean, I've done a lot of those and sent pictures. So.
But you know what movie I would really be looking forward to seeing on a huge, brand new, highly innovative, movie theater screen is something shot on my iPhone 15 Pro Max. Okay? Because the fact is, that's happening 28 years later.
Whoa!
Hey, I remember a movie called 26 Years.
I remember I did review that one thriller that was shot entirely on
Unsane.
iPhone. Yeah, that was actually pretty good.
But that was like that
years ago,
But I think it was an iPhone 7.
Oh yeah, that's saying it was
so
old.
it's crazy compared to. I mean that it's weird to say a big leap.
Yeah.
But I mean, look,
it is. I mean,
come on, Hardcore Henry was shot with a GoPro.
Right.
Yeah.
So
and again, we've talked about this. It's like there are ways in which you can innovate. Oops,
I mean, we saw the X post with all the attachments, and I will say in their defense, though, it's not like they just take a film camera and don't put any attachments on that either. I mean, you're going to have your lenses and so I'm not as harsh when people are like
I'm not either,
because some people are like they're not really shooting on a phone. Look at all those attachments. It's like, well, you're going to have different lenses and stuff on a film camera too. They don't just take the camera out of the box like this is it, we're filming.
Right. But the fact that you can go and buy a prosumer camera for that is attached to your body at all times because you have your phone with you wherever you go, and that with an attachment,
it's still the same digital sense. It's like they have attachments, but it's still digital. The digital sensors in the phone. It's not like they're
and the fact that they just started with the last generation, allowing you to record an Apple ProRes log.
Yeah.
So I'm like, the fact that or even I think it's RAW. I think you could do RAW log. Because it won't let me on mine because
I am curious.
They mandatorily make you put in. If I go ProRes log, and I change it to 4K, I have to have external storage attached in order to shoot it in ProRes, log, which makes sense
because of how big
just
the file's gonna
exactly.
be.
And I went all out and I got the terabyte version. So it's like I have the max amount of space you can get on the Pro Max, but I did it for that reason because I was like, if I do shoot something, I'll probably shoot in 4K. But if I were going to shoot ProRes, it would have to be with an external storage. Again, the fact that you have the convenience of hooking up a USB-C Thunderbolt drive, to your phone to record on external media, already makes it a game changer. But that you can shoot ProRes log, like you said, I think it's a testament to the sensor and the technology of where it's not just phone cameras.
In your pocket,
just in general, cameras are headed digitally. I mean, but I also think this is part and parcel kind of fits in line with like Danny Boyle and he still has that filmmaker heart of wanting to push technology.
And he likes to experiment.
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, hell, one of the selling points for me getting Final Cut Studio back in the day was because, and Apple knew this, they put the Coen brothers right on there doing a little mini doc about how they shot Oh Brother Where Art Thou, and then they edited it in Final Cut.
Yeah.
And of course that sold me right there. I'm like, Oh Brother Where Art Thou was edited on an Apple.
Yeah, if this is what actual directors are using, I want it too.
Yeah.
I thought it was kind of brilliant. I love both, like 28 Days Later and 28 Weeks Later. Like I love both those movies. I like Danny Boyle as a director in general, but I just thought it was kind of a brilliant move because both of they're not found footage handheld, but both of those movies are made to look kind of raw and gritty, and it looks all like
they're jittery. And,
It's not like it's a found footage handheld, but
Yeah.
at the same time you could tell it's kind of like a point and shoot
unstabilized.
type. Yeah.
There's no stabilizing.
So,
like it's jarring.
The fact that he's doing the next one with the iPhone is like that actually really fits in my mind, and
Well,
I
and
can
it's
see
funny
how that would
too
work
because they mention in the article, it's a Wired article that kind of breaks it down even more. But he shot 28 weeks later on a Canon XL1.
Oh wow!
And I remember wanting a Canon XL2, but that was like the first prosumer kind of geared towards indie filmmakers, but mainly for the indie filmmaking scene. It shot on mini DV tapes, which were all the rage in the. I mean,
wow,
I remember the DV tape.
Oh yeah, I mean it was transitioning from S video and 8mm and like it was. I mean it was a.
Before we finally made it to digital.
Yeah. I mean, it was kind of the first consumer digital format on mini DV tapes. And so the fact that he shot that film on that prosumer camera, and I remember wanting for the longest time a Canon XL2. So I wanted the next iteration because that, again, it was going to be like, I remember researching that camera backwards and forwards because that was what I wanted. So I think it is pretty crazy that, again, it always comes back to content is king. And if you shoot something that is riveting and that is entertaining, that is a story that people care about, it doesn't matter how it was shot. Now, granted, that means you still have to put in effort and work into making it, the lighting and, again, the peripherals, whether it's attaching lenses to it. I think even I was watching, I think it was either MKBHD or Linus Tech Tips. But they were mentioning on there about how, I think it was Linus Tech Tips, they shot an entire video on the iPhone 15 to show that it could be done. And there was that Apple presser last year where they did it. And they showcased at the very beginning that all of it was shot on an iPhone 15 and it looked beautiful. But there's a lot of things you have to do to get it to give you that look that you're looking for.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of compromises that you do have. One thing that he said about the Canon XL1 footage being shot on a mini DV and with the technology of that time is when you are dealing with digital technology, it's not like film. You can't go rescan the print and bring it into a higher fidelity version of digital. You have to pretty much you're stuck with what you shot it in.
Yeah.
It's not going to get any better than what you shot it in at the time. I mean, again, 4K resolution is a high freaking density pixel resolution. But who's to say that? I mean, we already know there's 8K out there.
Yep.
We already know that films and other experiences can be shot in higher fidelity. So you are shoehorning yourself into something, but that's kind of the world we live in now. Since we've completely transitioned from film anymore, I mean, you still have your Nolans who get their way because they can create a blockbuster that justifies it. And you'll definitely have huge 70mm prints from IMAX film that you can rescan down the road into a greater fidelity digital print. But for the vast majority of people now, the entire industry, a majority of the movies, I would probably argue 90% of your films or TV shows are digital. They're all shot digitally. And the sensors are just that good. So I think it's cool to, one, be on the, newfound edge of pushing the brink of technology of something that everyday users carry in their pocket to saying, hey, we can shoot a motion picture on this, and then still kind of, pushing yourself to the limits of what you can do creatively as a director and say, hey, I'm not going to be constrained within any, I mean, you can give me any tool. It's just, again, that's all it is. It's a tool in my toolbox.
Yeah.
And I can create something riveting and compelling. Now, granted, we won't know till the movie comes out next year in June if it pays off or not.
Yeah.
But I think it's cool to see Danny Boyle being, one of the veteran filmmakers out there to continue to be innovative with the way he shoots a film to showcase, like, hey, you could have every excuse in the world, but if you're a good filmmaker and a good storyteller, you'll find a way to get your story out there, and you won't be, hamstrung.
Yeah.
With your hands behind your back. You won't be tied down by the tools at your disposal. You could use anything to tell a good story.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think it's pretty cool, regardless of all the guff people are giving them for having all these other, I'm sure there's probably $100,000
It kind of goes against the idea that you can shoot it with just the minimal equipment, because you have a $1,300 phone, then you got about $20,000 worth of lens, hard drive, mounting rig, stabilizing, all that's like.
But you could buy all that for a regular camera too if you're filming more of film.
That's true. I'm just saying, the camera is in your pocket. Everybody's got one, but not everybody's got all of the other equipment.
He didn't say everybody could film with just that.
No,
he just said he was filming
the
his
one
movie.
cool thing about it too that I would say, I think it's knowing that it was shot on an iPhone 15 Pro Max. You're not going to be able to tell that when you see the film.
No.
So it's not like it's oh man, I think he shot that on an iPhone or whatever. No, I think he shot that with a cell phone. No, it's going to look like a professional production.
I mean, you hope, because again, I think that's part of kind of like with Unsane or. And this is part of why I like this almost experiment of almost, it seems like every few years we get this where some filmmaker shoots on an iPhone just to show you the breakthrough in technology it has, whether Apple's somehow behind the scenes pulling the strings or not.
Well, I mean, Zack Snyder did a short on an iPhone,
Yeah.
didn't he? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there was one movie that was made only using FaceTime. The
you're
whole
right.
movie was over video chat.
Not Harold and Kumar. The guy from Harold and Kumar was in
You're
it.
about Unfriended?
I think it was Unfriended.
There's been more than one of those, but originally it was like the whole movie was.
It was just
It was
screen
a
grabs.
webcam.
Yeah, it was a webcam.
It wasn't bad. I mean,
Yeah.
it was the premise was well done. There was just elements of it that I thought could have been better as a horror movie, but the way they did
technically,
it,
yeah.
it was.
And again, those are kind of, I'm not going to say gimmicky, but they're based around a premise of like the whole point is that it's from a webcam, so you kind of explain away some of the jarring nature of how bad the footage looks because you know it's a webcam.
Yeah.
Even though there's probably some set decoration and even lighting that goes into it.
Definitely.
But when it comes to shooting on an iPhone, like you said, I think the point is that they're trying to shoot it in such a way that when you do watch the film, that's your takeaway.
Yeah.
You walk out of the theater and you think you wouldn't know the difference.
Yeah.
But I do think it's interesting because I think that'll be the case next summer. However, just like his Canon XL1 with 28 weeks later, as time goes on, there are certain things that I think, no different than any other movie that may have come out 10 years ago that you could easily sit there and say, okay, this is, it's dated and it shows
didn't hold
its
up.
age.
Yeah.
Honestly, 28 days later, I mean, as rough as it is, like the nature of the movie, like that, the rough look works for it, and I would argue it holds up better than something like George Lucas's prequel Star Wars series that are just like
Early days
digital
of digital
CGI,
very
like,
smooth.
They don't like at least with 28 days later, it's supposed to have that rough look, so it works. Yeah.
But again, and this will always be the cry for film. I mean, because you can go back in the olden days, the golden era of Hollywood, and you can easily pull that footage out and say, all right, let's rescan it, and you can get, go in digitally and tweak it to where it looks the most pristine.
I'm not against digital, but I love film because you can go, like when they remaster old films in 4K, it's just so beautiful.
True. Very true.
I feel like I do understand Nolan's, his little, I get it. Like film there's something about it just looks so good.
Yep. But I think this is also awesome too because again, it proves to any indie filmmaker out there, hey, you've got the tools in your pocket, you can make it happen.
You could
with some
go
creativity.
do it, Brandon. You could do it.
That's right.
Just toss these cameras in the trash and use your phone.
I did try. I tried originally with the
to mount,
and it's Apple's fault that I can't.
Yeah.
Because now, granted, I don't know with the iPhone 15, but I know with the old Lightning connectors, the Lightning to HDMI, they did actual processing in those dongles, so that it was a delay. Like I was able to hook it up, and it was a weird aspect ratio. It didn't give me a full 1080 picture. It gave me some like weird output. But I remember I put it up here, and I was
maybe the newer ones would do it.
I maybe
We'll find out in a couple weeks.
yeah. Oh.
I have an iPhone 16.
Oh,
Pro Max.
is he? Did you just break
Nice.
the? You just breaking the news?
Nice.
Yeah.
He's getting a 16, guys.
My wife's already here, but mine is on back order.
Are you getting the Pro
Nice.
Max?
I did, yeah.
Yeah, he is.
Brandon
Are you
got
getting
new
that?
goodies too, didn't you,
I
Brandon?
did. I mean, I'm wearing one. I did get the watch.
Did you really?
Yeah. I've made a decision since I had the iPhone 15. I got the Series 10. I'm now going to do every 5th generation of each one. I'm going to hold out for every 5th generation. So I probably won't get another Apple Watch till the 15, and I probably won't get another iPhone till the iPhone 20.
Oh, okay.
So I'm going to just do that.
We're doing every other one because we have 14s.
Yeah, and
So,
that's what I feel like most
our
people
early
do.
upgrade was like we could wait till the 17, but I don't think there's going to be a gigantic leap.
No.
I don't think there's going to be a new design.
Well,
I think they're sticking with this for a while. So I was like, I'll just go ahead and
I
upgrade.
had the 11, and the only reason I upgraded from the 11 was the fact that I vowed I would not upgrade to a new iPhone until they switched to USB-C,
Yeah,
to a Lightning port.
yeah.
I am a little bit jealous of that. Not really the camera slider on the 16. Although if I'd held out one more year, it would have been nice.
Yeah.
But I'm mainly mad because the Thunderbolt port on the 16 is, I think, 20 gigabit or 10. I think it's 20 gigabit, and this one on the 15
It's a true Thunderbolt port.
Yeah,
is what
this
it says
one's
online.
like 5 gigabit.
It's still
so
USB 2.
The throughput on yours is much faster. They improved that, and I'm kind of pissed.
Yeah,
Which
you still
that
got to have
makes
you
sense.
still have to have the external hard drive, but from the advertising that I saw, I only got the 512, but even the 512 says with an external hard drive you can shoot in ProRes.
Right.
But
And that's how it is on this one. I think the only thing it limited me on this one was I couldn't shoot 4K at 60 unless I had the terabyte.
oh,
I'm not
okay.
sure, but I know the new one's 4K at
4K
120.
60 or 4K 120 Dolby Vision.
Yeah.
Yeah, which I mean the 14 was Dolby Vision too, but yeah,
They increased the
it
frame rate.
comes sometime in October. They're that behind.
Really?
Mhm.
Which is funny because on Mac Rumors, I was hearing that they said the 16 was not as in high demand, but if
Oh,
they're
wow.
pushed back to
It's
October.
because
If you want-
mine didn't take long.
If you
either,
want the
yeah.
desert sand color, you can get it right away.
Okay.
But if you want natural or black or the white,
Which one did you go
I
with?
went with the black,
Oh, okay.
the black
Nice.
titanium. But
See, I went with black too, but like that one wasn't like that one I could get right away. I think it was the white that like
The
they had.
titanium.
yeah, I
was
wanted
also,
the natural, but
Yeah,
the natural
that
was
was
even.
it. Titanium was the
Yeah.
one that because I didn't care, but the titanium did have a little bit longer weight when originally when
Yeah.
I was getting
That was the one I ended up. I got
Yeah.
one
I
with
think
the
it's
natural
I think
titanium.
October
Yeah.
4th is when I'm supposed to.
Oh, that's not too bad.
Yeah,
yeah,
So it's
it's
only
close.
like 2 weeks.
2 weeks away.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
not
not
too
too
bad.
bad. Mine ended up coming not day of. It came like the day after. But I think it was because I had it delivered to work because I didn't want it sitting on my front porch for obvious reasons. But all right, enough talking about Apple.
Sure.
Yeah.
And the ways they continue to.
I'm gonna
just
shoot a
get
whole
us.
film on mine.
You should.
I do.
Next Red
Should.
Moon production.
That camera button, it's gonna change everything.
It's going to change
Yeah.
everything.
It's gonna-
It's
yeah.
revolutionizing.
Everything.
Steve Jobs is going to come back from the dead to just
yeah.
Yeah.
give Tim Cook a pat on the back.
That's
Yeah.
right.
It's going
You
to
did a good
revolutionize
job.
the industry. All right, let's move into our vices topic. Real simple topic tonight, but
I like
I
it.
thought it was a good one. I actually thought of another one, but I was like, nah, we'll go with this one because we can do the other one some other time.
Mm.
I think this is good though.
Okay.
It could become a lively debate. And I did use a colloquial term.
Mm.
What is your favorite Coke? Not soda. I said Coke because that's what I call it here.
That's
it's
Coke.
all a Coke.
They're all Coke.
Carbonated beverage.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what's your favorite Coke?
Yeah.
Let's go around the circle. Who
Easy.
wants to start?
Coke, soda, pop. I'm trying to think of.
I know what Sean's is. I'm going to let him go first because I know what it is.
What is it?
Mellow Yellow.
That's you're darn absolutely right. That's
knew
the
it.
nectar of the gods. Is what that is.
Mellow Yellow.
Mellow
is
Yellow.
amazing.
It
I
is
do
pretty
love
good.
It is my favorite of the citrus
Really?
drinks. Yeah, I like that better than Mountain Dew.
Oh, man. See,
Oh yeah, Mellow Yellow is my go-to for that type of.
I
Yeah.
think I'm a Mountain Dew fan.
Mm. I like Mountain Dew.
I
but,
was,
Yeah.
Yeah.
but I was converted.
Now I do like going to the theater, and again, you got to go to one that has the mixed drink.
Yeah. Like
fountain.
That peach mellow yellow.
That peach mellow
Yeah, it's
yellow
good
is
stuff.
so good.
Yeah,
That's good.
yeah, it is.
Yep.
But neither one of those are my
Yeah.
favorite. So
Uh-oh.
Keith, what about yours?
Yeah, yeah. It's mellow yellow or just Coke. Like that's what I go between. Every now and then I throw Sprite in there.
So you like Coke
trilogy
better
of
than
Coke.
Pepsi,
Oh, yeah.
period.
Yeah.
Because those are all three Coke brands.
That could have been.
Coke,
Yeah.
Coke, Mello, and Sprite are like the Coca-Cola Trinity, and that's what I stick with.
the Coca-Cola Trinity.
That's what I stick
Oh
with,
my
man.
God.
Which one's the
Coca-Cola
father,
Trinity.
which one's the son, and which
I'm
one's
just going
the...
with threes. Like they call
Sprite is a
Batman,
spirit,
Superman,
so
Wonder Woman.
that
Like
should be the
that's
spirit.
considered the DC Trinity. So
I
I
gotcha.
just lumping things in threes.
What were your three again, Keith?
Oh,
The Coke Trinity?
Coke, Mello, and Sprite. Like those are just what I stick with. Yeah.
No,
but I mean,
Starry.
I go no.
Everybody, I think it is the worst rebrand in history.
Yeah.
I have not heard
Sierra
one
Mist
person.
was a terrible name, but it's better than Starry.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. I actually didn't
Oh, my
mind
dad
Sierra
loved
Mist.
Sierra Mist.
I thought it
that
was pretty good.
That was his
Yeah.
favorite.
I think it
was
sounds
Sierra
like the
Mist.
next version of Mac OS.
Starry.
No, Sierra Mist.
Oh, so true.
I'd say in general just Coke, but yeah, probably Mello second, Sprite third, and I do like Dr Pepper from now and every
Yes.
now and then.
Actually, I was gonna say,
Dr. K's
Dr.
good.
Dr.
Or Dr.
Pepper.
Pepper.
I think I
like
go
Dr. K,
through
but-
waves because Dr Pepper.
See, yeah, I go through it like
You gotta
it's
be
kind
in
of
the
the mood.
mood.
Yeah,
yeah, but Dr
Or
Pepper
Pibb.
does hit.
That's Coke's actually. Coke is Mr. Pibb. I like Mr.
Mr.
Pibb.
Pibb to me is the same as Pepsi is to Coke. It's too sweet.
No,
I don't
prefer Dr.
mind
Pepper
Pepsi.
to Pibb,
Yeah.
but I do like Pibb.
And there are times where I'm in the mood for a Pepsi because I like the sweetness, but almost 90% of the time I go for a Coke.
Pepsi has a
hands
bite I
down.
like. Like so every now and then I just like it's just like sharper in the mouth. I don't know if the carbonation it just has more of a bite to me, and I like that.
I would argue Coke does. I
I
think
would-
to me
yeah.
it's got a sharper
I would
kind
say
of
RC Cola is the best cola, like Coca-Cola.
Really?
Yeah, the dark or traditional
I like
Coke.
RC Cola.
RC is better.
I like
I
RC.
actually like RC from a can or from a bottle.
Yes.
Yeah.
If I can get it in a bottle,
They
it's
used to sell
hard
it.
to find.
They
Oh,
used
if I
to
could
sell it
get-
with that was made with cane sugar.
Yes.
Real the RC what they called that? It was called something different, like RC Classic
Yeah.
or something like that, and it was made with real cane sugar.
They have
that
Cokes
stuff
in a
was
glass
insane.
bottle like that, and I love those.
Yeah.
Like you have to look for them because they come from Mexico. Because
Yeah, the
they-
Mexican Coke
yeah.
is really good.
Like-
Oh, if you go to a Mexican restaurant, typically they have, and it's
Oh, you
not
can find
just-
them in a grocery store.
You can,
Costco has 'em.
but they
Yeah,
typically
Mexican.
have the tall bottles,
Oh,
like
yeah, yeah.
what a real traditional Coke
Yep.
bottle
Oh
used
yeah,
to be.
I found those in grocery. You just have to go to like they're literally in the international aisle, even though they're
that's
Coca-Cola.
that's
Yeah.
nuts.
They're just you just go. It's from Mexico Coca-Cola, but it's
Like,
got
no,
real
I'm gonna
sugar
go
in it.
get the American version.
they don't have
that's
corn
much
syrup
smaller.
or anything
Yeah.
in them. Like,
Nope.
No,
No.
it's just sugar and whatever. Like it's
I prefer it. And I mean, I try to avoid things with corn syrup now, anyways. I'd much rather have I even buy organic ketchup that has real sugar in it. Like it's still not it's
Yeah.
ketchup, so it's still
Yeah,
got
it's still
sodium
not
and sugar.
healthy,
but it's
yeah.
it tastes better, and it's better than putting corn syrup in your
Yes,
body. So.
agreed. I was just saying. I mean, look, and everyone, a Coke isn't going to kill you, and I will say, just every once in a while, a ice cold Coke, just classic Coke, is so good. I would still say that's my number one,
Classic Coca-Cola,
but
with
no doubt,
Santa Claus.
every once in a while, I have a hankering for
the polar bear.
recently, and it's only because my parents have been buying it. But I've really enjoyed. This isn't on my top favorites, but I've just been really enjoying it. L8. L8.
I like L8. I like
L8.
ginger ale in general, but I do like L8.
Yeah.
I like Canada Dry.
And they get the zero sugar, and again, it's got some.
I don't like
it's
zero.
good.
I don't like zero ginger ales. I've not found like one that I thought tasted good.
Try L8.
I have. I don't like it.
Oh, you don't like the L8 zero sugar?
Mm-mm.
Wow.
They have the artificial sweeteners like are too overpowering in those. Like the
Wow,
because
really?
it's sweeter than like regular. Yeah, and I don't like it.
See, again,
overly sweet.
I think the exact opposite.
Yeah.
I think the real sugar stuff it's way too sweet.
See, yeah, I'm the exact like artificial sweeteners. Like actually are more potent. Like you use less of it than sugar because they are actually
That's
sweeter.
like this.
Yeah, and I just
Jacob
I
Burris
like it.
is. This is some great comments. He says, "Classic Coke is my drug of drugs." I love this description. The fizzy pop and carbonated burn in the throat is fire.
100%.
Yeah.
I'm with Jacob on that.
It's like
That
the closest thing
describes
to it
Coke
is lighting a
perfectly.
cigarette. It's
Nice.
like
100%.
Yeah.
I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I'll try almost any Cokes, but I mean, I enjoy like.
Also,
I just have to be in the mood for it because I enjoy Big Red sometimes, orange soda sometimes.
Well, I was gonna
I
say-
can't have
grape.
White Castle without Big Red.
Oh yeah.
You
that
have
is-
to get
that's-
Big
yeah.
Red when you go to White Castle.
But I mean, I like every now and then like grape, like the Big K grape soda from
It's good,
Kroger
yeah.
is like the best grape soda.
maybe it was. It's
you ever
like
had
a-
Squirt?
No.
I
You never
have
had a squirt?
Yeah, you've had a squirt.
Hey.
Yeah.
I'm seeing if Nathan's watching. No, there's a soda called Squirt.
Yeah, it's called Squirt.
It's a grapefruit
No.
soda.
Yeah,
it's
grapefruit.
great.
Never had it.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought
You
if
get it.
you're
You
going
can only
way
get it at the
back-
gas station, I think. I don't know.
No.
Yeah, they're good.
Yeah.
I think of it in terms of age. Like I mean, like Big Red was big when I was a kid. Like that, we always had Friday. Actually, oddly, on Friday, Jacob will know this. Fridays at Eisenhower, they would do popcorn and Coke, and it was like 50 cents for each.
Mhm.
And a lot of times, I would either get Big Red as my Coke or Diet Coke. I really enjoyed Diet Coke. Not because, again, it does have a distinct flavor,
Yeah,
yeah.
separate
different
from
taste,
Coke.
yeah.
But I actually liked the flavor. I liked Diet Coke.
I
the
used to
flavor.
like Pepsi One, which was so retarded. It was like Pepsi with 1 calorie, and I was like, "What's the point of this?" But,
Yeah, well, I
Yeah.
got 1 gallon.
But I
Like,
mean, it
let's
didn't
see
last.
if they got 0 and 1. Which one am I
well,
going to take?
that was before zero sodas existed.
Yeah.
like there were no zero sodas
Yeah.
because that was back when Phantom Menace came out. Because they used to have Pepsi One cans
Yeah.
with the characters on them.
Yeah.
Because I mean, and that might have been part of why I loved it too, is because they had Star Wars characters
Right.
on the can. But I used to love Pepsi One, and then it only lasted a few
Well,
years.
and I remember,
'Cause,
you know,
I mean,
it's like you, as a kid, you just didn't buy into the marketing thing. You were just like, oh, it's got to be better because it's
Yeah.
the new thing they're
This is
pushing.
Pepsi One.
It tastes just like the whole Pepsi Crystal thing.
Yeah.
That
Oh,
people,
the clear Pepsi.
Oh,
yeah.
Or
and
new-
then
new
Pepsi
Coke.
Clear is what they called it after that.
Yes,
It was Crystal, then it was just Pepsi Clear.
right,
Yep.
and they got rid of it.
Yeah.
new Coke bombed. Nobody wanted
Nope.
that.
No.
But no, I that was kind of my early years, and then I gravitated towards Coke, but also I'd say middle school, high school, and it's still a close second. I just like Cherry Coke.
Mm-hmm.
Cherry Coke is so good.
I like vanilla Coke.
Yeah, I don't
I love
do.
vanilla Coke.
I don't like cream sodas or vanilla sodas.
oh man, Barg's cream
Yeah.
soda.
I don't like
I'm
root
not.
beer
I'm not a
either.
huge cream soda person. I'll do red cream soda, like Big Red. Just not regular cream soda. And I do love root beer.
Actually, I was gonna say, but what kind of root beer?
Used to it would have been A&W, but that's back when you could get it fresh from A&W.
I say if
Yeah.
you can get A&W off the tap,
Um,
it's so freaking good. But you just can't find it anywhere now.
I mean, I think I still probably stick with A&W even in the can. I mean, I don't
Same.
mind. Like Barg's is fine. I like Barg's. And then what's the one? The Bulldog
Mug.
Yeah, that. Honestly, again, Kroger's like the Big K brands, like root beer, orange soda, grape. Those are actually all really
They're pretty
good.
darn close. Yeah.
I'm like,
I don't know about the
mind
root beer,
any
but
of the generics except for they've got to be cold. I can't drink them at room temperature. And this is maybe
well, I don't
where I
like
get a little
any
too snooty.
carbonated drink at room temperature.
Okay, I don't like it, but I can drink a Coke. Even a warm, if you give me a warm room temperature can of Coke, I can
put it in the freezer for like 15 minutes. I
I'm
will.
just saying, if I don't have a freezer and I'm out in
yes,
the desert,
That's right.
I will sip on it and I will enjoy it. If you give me a Big K, as soon as I crack that thing, if I don't drink it within 5 minutes, it's flat. It
Oh,
tastes
the
flat.
regular
Yes.
cola, yes.
Yeah.
I don't care for the regular cola. I'm talking like I don't know what it is. I guess because they don't want to put money into the regular cola, but like the grape, the orange, and the root beer, they're just like, you know what? We'll be really good at the ones
those?
at the ones nobody drinks. Like everybody wants like the citrus drop or the Big K cola. Those are garbage compared to the grape and the
But
orange.
I will say, I don't know why. It's like, yeah, as of recently, I would have to say like Coke's my number one. I would probably put Dr. Pepper at a close second as like my go-to. And oddly, I'm interchangeable with most of these. No, Coke Zero does not beat Coke, but I'll obviously for health, like just to be healthier,
mind
I'll
Coke
drink
Zero.
a Coke Zero
Yeah.
because I can still enjoy the flavor of it beside it just being like, but obviously if I'm willing to cheat and be like, I don't care today, Coke will be the go-to.
That's actually the funny thing is like when it comes like I prefer Mellow Yellow to Mountain Dew, but when it comes to Zero, Mountain Dew Zero tastes better than Mellow
Yes.
Yellow Zero.
I've never had a Mellow Yellow Zero.
I don't even know if they make them anymore.
I get it at the theater.
No, that they do in the fountains.
I get it.
They don't in the cans.
Oh.
They used to you could go and buy a 12-pack of Mellow Yellow Zero, but I guess because they don't sell, like there's not a market for it. Like I've no grocery store, at least on Dixie Highway, sells it anymore.
Yeah, I hate
Yeah.
Diet Mountain Dew.
I don't mind it.
Oh, I don't
Or
like
Mountain
Diet
Dew
Mountain
Zero.
Dew. Now I can do Mountain Dew Zero.
No, I don't think it tastes like real Mountain Dew.
guess
No, I don't
I-
think any Zero tastes like the real thing, but they're
True,
close. There's
true.
ones that are closer than others.
Yeah.
Dr. Pepper
it's
Zero
weird
and Big Red
because
Zero are pretty dang close.
Honestly, I agree with you. They do taste different, but like for me, interchangeable. I could have a Mountain Dew Zero or a Diet Mountain Dew. I don't care. I really don't. I could have either one and I'd enjoy it, and it tastes enough like Mountain Dew that I'm like. In
Tastes
fact,
better than water.
well, true.
That's kind of how
Although-
I am with soda. Is like Soda's my downfall, dude.
I know.
Like it's
bad,
I
man.
hate water.
No water. Oh,
I hate
wow.
the taste of water.
And
Unless it's
sad,
bottled water, I can't stand the taste of water.
I've been drinking it, and I'll do it just because I like the carbonation. But I do LaCroix.
Yeah.
They're not the same.
It's not.
No.
It is not. Like there's a little bit of a hint of like flavor with some.
It's like slightly flavored static.
Yes.
I've had
Yes.
LaCroix, and I mean I don't hate LaCroix either. I've drank them
but
because
it's not as it's not as
The
savory.
bubbly, those sodas are.
Yeah.
No, there's nothing.
No.
It's not
I
a
actually
soda.
well the weird thing like I'll drink I have at like Bob Evans, like we had that dispense just plain carbonated water, and every now and then I would just drink straight
Now, oddly-
carbonated water.
And what's weird is I can't do that because for some reason it's the taste
It
of.
does something on the roof of your mouth and everything.
Well,
that just
and I don't know if it's like because my mind mentally I'm thinking I'm about to drink Sprite, but
But
I
it's
don't.
not,
It's
it's
not.
water.
And then when I drink it, and then
Sprite
because
is
it is
flat.
water, I'm then thinking, no, I want a taste of water
Yeah.
just
Yeah,
out of
yeah.
tap, as opposed to
It's weird 'cause
carbonation.
carbonated water does have like I don't know if like I don't know if carbonation has a taste or it's supposed to, but I feel like it doesn't just taste like water. Like carbonated
Right.
water
Yeah, it
has
has
some
a-
type of
a
off
weird
taste.
flavor, yeah.
And I mean it don't bother me. Like I don't know why. Like,
It's
I
like
guess
what
just-
Perrier is,
yeah.
and like
Yeah.
it's just
I've drank
sparkling
it.
water.
Like,
Yeah.
I've drank
Club
it's just
soda or
carbonated
whatever.
water, club soda. Yeah.
Now there
it's
is this
fine.
new one on the block I haven't tried yet. Yuka's giving it good.
Buble?
No. That's been around a while.
Yeah, it's been around.
there's
a while. I
one.
just
There's
wanted to
one
say
that's
it.
got a probiotic in it.
It's called like Bubble or something, but that's
I think that might be it.
but they like it's they say it's the new generation's soda because
Yeah.
it's supposed to be healthier.
Yeah.
And yet they swear it has the taste of a soda pop.
Yeah, there's one of those sparkling water soda things that has a like a probiotic in it that's
There's
supposed to
called
be really
Poppy. It's
Poppy. That's the one I'm
Poppy.
talking
sparkling prebiotic soda.
about. Yeah.
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 And it's supposed to be apparently like actually good for you, but also taste way closer to soda than something like carbonated water.
I will try it.
It's very
just out of
expensive.
curiosity. I do see that.
It's expensive?
It is.
$16.99 for an 8-pack
Yeah.
at Kroger.
At Costco, you can get more, but it's
What flavors do they have? Does it
They
say?
have like strawberry and peach and lemon lime. like,
This is
yeah.
a variety pack of 8 that has strawberry. Let's see, strawberry lemon's a flavor, orange, cherry limeade, and
Do they have one where it's just a straight flavor? Is it cheaper? Do you get like just nothing but like
strawberry lemon, orange, cherry limeade, and grape is the variety pack.
I don't think they have a cola taste.
Yeah,
It's all fruity.
They don't have. I think. Like,
and that's
yeah, just a
fine.
Coke.
I mean, I almost prefer that.
Yeah,
'cause
they
if you
have,
try to mimic Coke, you're not getting it. Don't even try.
They have like solo cans, just $2 for a 12-ounce can. Wild Berry, Post Malone exclusive.
Woo!
They do have a cherry cola, Poppy cherry cola.
I mean,
I don't see
try
any,
it.
but I don't see any cases of these. These are just single cans for that are $2 a can.
Yeah.
I should have got some for the show. We could have tried
We
it.
could do that next week.
Yeah.
All right, we'll try some.
They're
Poppy.
in the cold like the cold drink section. At
I've just
Kroger.
seen
You can
advertisements,
pick one up,
and
yeah.
I'm like, because I thought it was the
I
same.
saw it
as,
on TV too.
They have a classic cola. The variety
Do they?
pack was all fruit, but the single ones, there's a classic cola, there's lemon lime, there's an orange, grape, wild berry.
I looked it up on my Yuka app, and
Yeah.
there was a couple harmful.
They have a Doc Pop. I guess that's supposed to be their
Oh,
Dr. Pepper.
wow. Man.
I'd be willing to try it.
My problem is it's like
Hold on, what it's called? Is it POP?
POPPI.
Yeah.
My only problem is like they may be great and healthy for you, and I'm like, this is awesome, but I'm not going to spend
Nope.
that much.
Okay, so it has
Regularly.
25 calories, which is great.
They do have 4-packs for $8.99 of a single
5
flavor.
grams of sugar. So, but it's still that's pretty good on sugar. as
Oh
far
yeah.
as-
Yeah,
Mountain
you know,
Dew's like 40.
Yeah, I mean, it just so it's like they're not trying to get away from it completely, but it even says on the UCAP they give it a 58 out of 100.
So they do sell 4-packs for $8.99, but it doesn't look like they have very many of those in stock, at least at this Kroger.
It
up
just
here.
sucks because the only thing they have on here on this app is just the variety pack.
Mm.
They don't have the other. They don't have the
What app are
individual
you on?
sodas. The Yuka app
Oh, Yuka.
that,
Okay.
that rates
Gotcha.
how healthy it is.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
okay.
That's interesting.
Next
That
week.
was, yeah. We'll
try
it out.
We'll try it out for next week. But
Yeah.
you know what? That's going to do it for this episode, and that's going to do it for our discussion on what we consider to be our favorite Cokes.
Surge. You remember that?
Oh yeah. I mean that. Look, Surge is definitely one of those. It's like from back in the
You
day.
can still get it, but it ain't
Back
the
in the
same.
day,
No.
I ordered some off
Surge-
Amazon.
Yeah.
It is not the same as
No.
back in the 90s.
Back in the day, that would
No.
have been hands down my favorite.
Oh yeah.
And then
Well, that
Vault.
was
It turned
the.
my teeth green. I drank so much of that.
I was gonna say that was like the kid friendly like energy drink. It was geared towards
Yes.
kids who
It
were.
was Mountain Dew on.
not good
It
for
was,
you.
it was
No, it
Mountain
wasn't.
Dew. It was Mountain Dew on steroids. It wasn't really an energy drink. It's just a Mountain Dew
Right,
drink.
but it
Yeah.
had a ton of caffeine and sugar in
Yes.
it. So
Yes.
yeah.
They just knew who they were.
But then they went to
marketing towards.
Vault, and I loved Vault,
Vault
too.
was-
They had
that was-
Surge, and then they had Vault.
Still around though, isn't it?
No,
Vault isn't.
no. Well, it's the Coca-Cola owns them all.
Yeah.
Oh.
So they had Surge, and then they had Vault, and you
Kick
could still get.
Was not owned by Coca-Cola.
No, that
I
one
don't think.
wasn't. Surge
Kick still.
for a while.
Kick is around.
I don't think so.
I want to say Kick is. I feel like that is like kind of like Rockstar and Monster. Like those are energy drinks that I see all the time. I thought Kick was
I think
still
Mountain
around.
Dew Kick is like Mountain Dew's energy drink.
Oh, okay.
But just Kick in a can, the hardcore nitro
Yeah.
psycho drink in a can.
Yeah.
Oh
that was
my
the
gosh, he remembers the
that was
whole
the
ad.
advertisement,
Oh
yeah.
my gosh, I don't remember that one at all.
I remember kicking a can.
Yeah.
Alrighty, that's going to do it for this episode.
Mm.
Thank you all so much for tuning in. Hey, do like Jacob did. You can write us and tell us what your favorite Coke is.
Yep.
Or let us know about any movie news that we missed because it always ends up breaking the day after we end the show. But like, share, subscribe, follow us on all of our favorite social media. That's right there at the bottom of your screen. Red Moon Book on Facebook, Red Moon Tweet on X, Red Moon Pics on Instagram, and of course search for Red Moon Productions on both YouTube and Rumble. Like, share, subscribe. We appreciate all the love. There is that old-fashioned way of reaching out to us. Keith, what is that way of getting around to us?
RMPodcast at redmoonproductions.com.
Couldn't have said it better. Every time. Gives me a chill.
Follow up
and
with
then
that.
that just snaps me out of it.
I hadn't done that one today.
You haven't.
Yeah.
You haven't.
Yeah.
Thankfully.
Yeah.
Until now. All right. That's going to do it for this episode of the Red Moon Podcast. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Until next time, I'm one of your hosts, Brandon Davidson, alongside our normal new host.
Sean Sebastian.
And
Keith Cheatham.
I don't think you did the other one. Can't do it now.
What other one?
I hate you.
Oh, I did.
Oh. Screw you.
We hope you enjoyed this week's episode. For more reviews, previous podcast shows, and everything Red Moon, visit our website, redmoonproductions.com. You can also like us on Facebook or follow us on Twitter by searching for Red Moon Productions, LLC. We'll see you at the movies.